Alliance, where we help you elevate your grappling so together we keep real wrestling alive. Thank you very much. And let's go ahead and do some announcements right at the beginning. So, summertime. So, UCLA is on summer break. So, there's no class yet, but let's see about fall, I guess. But they start later. So, we'll probably be back closer to the end of September. But if you're in the Los Angeles area, we're always at Fight Science MMA, and that is in the mid city area. So basically, what that means is Los Angeles is a giant city, and basically, right in the middle of it is Fight Science MMA. You're free to come train with us. So, just check it out. You can just drop in and check it out. You don't have to join a gym or anything like that. Totally fine to come train. You can also train online through catchwrestlingalliance.com. And also you can train with my buddy if you're on the East Coast, John Strickland, American Hook Wrestling. So I think that's pretty much it. You can always, if you like all the stuff we're doing, you can always support us on our YouTube channel. Become a member. We got plenty of extra videos there. It's kind of like Patreon, but it's just all on YouTube. So that's on our YouTube channel. So we're always adding extra members only videos there too. So there's all kinds of ways to support us. Also, too, if you have something to teach, if you're really good at teaching or if you know something very well, you want to teach it, you can use that platform Kajabi. They offer you a full month if you use our link below, so you can test it out and see if you like that as well. Okay, so with that being said, let's go and get to our topic. So the Olympic freestyle competition just ended. It was like on Sunday, I think, at least for us in LA. I think, yeah, it was like Sunday or Saturday where everything was done. And let's give you a catch wrestling perspective about it, because I enjoy wrestling, like on the Catch Wrestling Alliance channels. We always even do stuff about like sumo wrestling techniques that you can use in catch wrestling. So I enjoy most forms of grappling. So I think there are things that we can learn about freestyle wrestling, but I think it's also good to be a little critical, because again, it's like what people might not know is that this style, freestyle, came from catch wrestling directly. So when they started doing the modern Olympics, the freestyle used to be called like amateur catch can wrestling, which is what we're doing, what we're trying to preserve. So is it the same thing? No, it is not, because again, like over the many decades now, the Olympics have added more and more rules, shorter and shorter time limits. So the entire match is 6 minutes, like that's it. So like, and they have also added a point system. So this point system helps to ensure that there's like no overtime, there's no sudden death kind of thing like that. So they've created this point hierarchy thing where basically if the score is tied at the end of the 2 3-minute halves, then there is going to be a winner. So they've made it so like we're done. It's like nothing's gonna like go over time. We're not gonna have anything like that where it's like it's going to be done in according to our schedule, nothing more. That's it. So that's kind of like or it's kind of unlike, say, catch wrestling, where traditionally it's like you go until someone wins, right? So no time limits, no points. So then you can see that I think we were talking about this recently when John Strickland was on, and he was talking about trying to slow down your match in catch wrestling. But say if you want to compete in amateur wrestling styles like freestyle or folk style, then you might have to change up your game, because it is different from traditional catch wrestling. Also, same thing. I mean, years ago on this podcast, I was talking about um, hopefully the hopefully the big truck outside doesn't make too much noise. Hopefully you can hear me. I'll speak closer to the microphone. But so even Farmer Burns in his writing, he talked about the speed of wrestling. I did a whole podcast about that a couple years ago. So let me go ahead and close the window real quick. So hopefully the noise isn't too bad. All right, so hopefully that kind of dulls the sound a little bit. Um, but so Farmer Burns was saying that yeah, it's all about the speed of wrestling. You can try to um, like control it the best you can by say like slowing the other person down, getting your holds, like your grips, blocking them from doing their thing, or say like if you get on top. So say like you get someone down in a defensive position or like referee's position, you can be forcing their head down, not intending even to roll them over yet, just knowing that they're going to be resisting you. So then they're going to be pushing their head back up, and so you push it back down. Is kind of like back and forth to tire them out. This is kind of what we were talking about a few weeks ago with John Strickland, and this is what has kind of been a part of catch wrestling for the longest time. And you can't really do things like that in freestyle wrestling. So, but I mean, there were some great matches overall. Like if you can put yourself into the like that mindset of freestyle wrestling, then sure, it can be enjoyable. But ultimately, you can kind of see why it might not be the most popular spectator sport. Even though this time we had a lot, I think we had a lot of Americans qualify, and it seemed like a lot of Americans went and like showed up. So I think that really helped the like I guess spectators being in the seats there. But let's go ahead and kind of go through a bunch of different things because like trying to think of uh, freestyle in a critical way. There's basically so many things that might not even be like from catch wrestling, but even just from the average spectator, like not understanding the point system. Like let's go and talk about this right now. Not understanding the suplex, right? So it's like we had a few people. So we had what three that I can think of right now who did beautiful suplexes. Actually, probably the most beautiful one was Kennedy Blades. Then we had Motoki from Japan winning, like she was losing her match. She was about to lose, I think, to Norway, and then at the last few seconds of the match, she suplexed her opponent and ended up getting the pin, which was really amazing. And then also Kyle Dick, also basically behind on points, and then just knowing that he needed to rack up some points very fast. He just became very aggressive, got that suplex. And so a lot of people online, like they just like they're not wrestling fans or like they just don't know these rules. So like say a lot of people who do wrestling, they're like, is this even legal and this and that? But it's like you got to know that there are several styles of wrestling and they have different rules. So yes, suplexing is legal in freestyle. What was another thing? So yeah, a lot of people just were commenting online that they want to see the suplex banned, and so that I don't know if I can really go with them there because I mean I don't know. I guess we gotta check out the safety or whatever. It doesn't seem to be that big of a problem. Say like even because I'm thinking about like they even in the Olympic boxing, they did research about like whether or not they should use helmets, and they found out that it's actually safer to not use helmets. So that was kind of a weird thing though too, because they only did the research on men, and so then I found out that that's why women in Olympic boxing have to wear helmets because they want to redo the research for women to see if it's safer to not use helmets in boxing. So, but anyway, so maybe they should do some. I don't know if they've done research or if they should do research on getting slammed on your back. But I mean, that's like the logo for USA Wrestling, the suplex, right? The other thing that I saw online that I thought was kind of funny, you have some people trying to say like, oh, it's not suplex, it's supplé, which I mean, it's like so coming from the French word, right, which actually is pronounced souple. Right, I'm not a fluent French speaker, but I learned a little a long time ago. But it's like when people are complaining, at least for me, when we talk, because we've talked about languages a lot in catch wrestling, because like saying or describing catch wrestling as being like its own language, its own way of doing things. So same thing with French, they have their own way of describing things. So that technique that we call that we most commonly call suplex nowadays came from a French word souple, and so then it became supplé, and so it's like it just when people start complaining about how things should be said, or it's like it reminds me of the whole thing about like French people saying that it's not pronounced croissant. Every American is saying it wrong. It's croissant, or it's like no, just just don't even go there, because every language has its way of doing things and pronouncing things. So if everyone had to stop and say croissant, it's like it just doesn't go with the flow of the language. So same thing, soup, like even saying souple just starts it's just not the most common thing now, because over time it evolved. I guess they're saying like in pro wrestling they started calling it suplex, and then since that's most popular, especially nowadays, then people know it as that. So just let it go, because like languages are always changing, and supple just sounds weird, and no one's gonna be, and because it doesn't even sound as close to the original French pronunciation. um so yeah, suplex. uh yeah, I don't mind stuff like that. Language, I know languages are changing all the time. Like even a lot of people nowadays, you wouldn't even be able to understand English a few hundred years ago. So different from today. So don't even try to hang on to stuff that's changing. All right, so let's go to some other things. So I already kind of mentioned, like, yeah, it sucks to have points. You can't do catch wrestling strategy and freestyle. We had some great techniques there, like the suplex. You had a lot of great things with the snap downs. We had Vinesh Fogat doing amazing work. She defeated the at that time, she was her opponent was undefeated in international freestyle, Yui Sasaki. That was just an amazing win by Fogat in the first round. Like everyone just expected Japan to win, and nope, she got beat first round. And I think that's something that later on we probably, if since last time we had that conversation with Maria Lee on our podcast about kind of like the mindset. In a way, it's like now I wish we had the conversation now, because that win of Fogat over Susaki just devastated her, and like there's all these different quotes from Susaki afterwards, and it's just showing that when you're used to winning, like when you finally lose, it can be devastating. So maybe we're definitely gonna have Maria Lee back on soon, so maybe we'll talk about that, the whole mindset thing, later with her specifically. But yeah, Susaki was devastated. But how did she lose? A lot of it was these snap downs that Fogat where it was just like spamming on people. So she ended up kind of destabilizing Susaki, and then eventually was able to get takedown, because it basically just destabilized her, ended up making her fall backwards, and Fogat just like landed on top of her, getting the takedown points. But then she just kept going, getting like the snap downs on other opponents, reattacking. That was it was actually really great, because it is like basic, like fundamental wrestling. It wasn't anything that was like some crazy technique that has all these like 20 steps to do to so it's like it's not anything difficult to understand or to learn, which I like stuff like that where um, people can actually like learn it and know that it works. But a lot of times it requires like trying to understand it from all different aspects, kind of just retrying it while sparring, just seeing, learning all about these moves, and then they go from low percentage moves to high percentage for you. So snap down was great. Let me see another. We had the American, and actually, yeah, it was a lot of the really great techniques and stuff. Like I've said it before, it's like a lot of the great techniques occur in the women's division. So we had Amit Elor, the American woman who won the gold medal. She was using a lot of what I would describe as the double wrist lock, and because it's a figure four, I think commonly a lot of people are calling it like a front Russian or something. I would call like a Russian 2-on-1 a little bit different because she was getting the figure four position and on basically everyone. So later on in other weight divisions, you would see other women try to get this position, but just wasn't as successful. We had maybe a little bit with Helen Maroulis in her win for the bronze medal. She kind of got some of the control there. Kind of more a little bit with the Russian 2-on-1 look, and was able to get like a fireman's from there, which was really cool. But again, that was in the women's division, so you can see kind of like the wider variety. But let's go ahead and get some more things like that you want to think about with regards to wrestling itself. So a lot of times people online, or I guess like just in general, here are some of the like common criticisms of freestyle wrestling. So I got them written down here. Said often it's criticized that there's an overemphasis on takedowns. So critics argue that the scoring system heavily favors takedowns, leading to a more aggressive but less technically sound style of wrestling. So this, I think we can see, I forgot the weight division in particular, but it was in the men's division. I think it was Kyle Dake's division. The guy who got second was an Iranian, and he wasn't getting takedowns actually, but he was winning because he was getting push outs. So he would go in, he'd kind of like he'd be swinging his arms around, and often he was able to get underneath the person and maybe grab a single leg, lift the leg up, and then he would hop his opponent out of the circle, getting points. Right. So sometimes maybe the guy might fall down and then he'd give up 2 points or whatever, but it was ultimately like this whole push out point game where he was winning, but that's not necessarily like wrestling. It was like finding a way to push someone out of a circle and just basically gaming the system. So like he understood it so well enough, I guess, that he knew that he could win like that. So thankfully, when he met the Japanese, I can't. Oh darn! I forgot his last name right now. But basically, he got owned when he made it to the gold medal match. When he got up against a real wrestler who could counter the push out strategy, and then he got basically, well, he almost got teched in the first half, but he got saved by the bell. But then he just ultimately lost the match after that. So, when you get someone who can withstand your pushing, then it might not go well for you if you're so one dimensional. But the thing is that like a lot of the commentators are talking about like, oh, how great he was, and even Jordan Burroughs. Like, so for those of you who don't know, like Jordan Burroughs was doing the commentating, at least for I guess us in the United States. And even Jordan, he was just like, yeah, this guy's so good, and the way he handled all these people and this and that. So it's like you can see that there are a lot of people in that mindset, right? So they just accept freestyle as it is. They might complain here and there about some changes, rule changes from time to time, but they're all about it. So this kind of goes back to one of the reasons why catch wrestling and even like pro wrestling really quickly evolved to being predetermined so in so many of the matches. Is because people, they won't, like, they'll do whatever they can, so they'll obey whatever rules they have to in order to get to the Olympics, right? And so it doesn't matter that there's only a short time limit, or it doesn't matter that you can win by just pushing people out over and over. um, so they just accept it as it is, and so then they're cheerleaders for it, which again, kind of like over time, it helped like catch wrestling like almost go extinct, basically. um, lack of So the next common criticism is the lack of control points. The current system is often criticized for not rewarding wrestlers for controlling their opponents, which can lead to matches that prioritize scoring over dominance. um, so there, right? That's good. Yeah, you could think that word too. It's like there was even a little bit of controversy too with the Fogat match versus Susaki. They were trying to see if she had enough control to get points for that takedown at the end. Um, so that's why it's almost like all these things are kind of like gray, or they can't. Or a wrestling match can be gray, right? In a way where say with momentum or someone falling down and so that something might be counted as takedowns or not. But what's great about catch wrestling is that you go until someone actually like wins, so you don't have people gaming that system getting points, right? And short match format, we kind of talked about it, where it's like, so according to the main criticisms, it's like, say, the brevity of the match is often seen as insufficient to showcase a wrestler's full skill set. So kind of what we're talking about, where it's like even Farmer Burns back in his day talking about the speed of wrestling and slowing things down, being able to use no time limit to like outwork your opponent to see who's got the best cardio, the best strength. And say like if you're up against someone who's like very, very strong, then you can see if you can't outlast them. And once you've tired them out, you can roll them over much easier than when they're fresh, right? And so people do get tired, obviously, even in that 6 minutes, but it's not necessarily uh, the same as like a non-time limit match, right? Um, let's see. The lack of strategic depth. The fast-paced nature of the sport can sometimes be perceived as lacking strategic elements and overly reliant on explosive moves. So this criticism, I think it's kind of, I mean, all these things are fair to say, and but this reminds me of, actually I should pull up his name. It was the Iranian that I mentioned earlier. I think I have his name right here, because here he is. He got the silver medal in the 65 kg division, men's freestyle, Rahman Amuzad Khalili. He was just really being reliant on pushing on the push outs. He's very fast, and so that's why he was often able to maybe grab his opponent's leg, lift it up, and then try to push him out. But then when you get like how he found out, I think unfortunately too late. I would like to have seen him lose earlier in the tournament, but he met the Japanese opponent in the final, who basically just owned him and like rolled him over several times. But again, that's also something else too that's quite like not wrestling like, like just rolling someone over and you can win by points. But at least in this case, it's showing that when someone's kind of like that one dimensional, then once they meet someone who's way more well-rounded as a wrestler, I guess, then they should lose. All right, the next point: high injury risk. Given the intense physical nature of the sport, there are concerns about the potential for serious injuries. Mm, that one, like I think, because I've been doing combat sports like forever, and yeah, it's like every sport there's risks of injury. So I don't know if you're concerned about injuries. That one is not a concern of mine so much. I guess we can see any kind of statistics, but I mean, you have all these other sports where people get all kinds of injuries. But yeah, I mean, what skateboarding, you can get all kinds of leg injuries. All these most random sports, you can totally get messed up. And it's kind of like the nature of doing something competitively where you have to train and stuff. Then no matter what, you can even just working out at home, as a hobby, for health and stuff, you can get injuries. I'm not. Yeah, that one I'm not. I'd have to. I don't know. I'm not. That's not a concern of mine so much. Um, but yeah, the lack of difficulty understanding the sport's complex rules and fast pace can be challenging for casual viewers to follow and appreciate. So this is kind of one thing in our society, right? So um, the spectatorship. So I think luckily for wrestling, I think because we had so many Americans, it seems like the Americans were really packing the stadium, at least based off what we saw on, in the United States. That it seemed as though there are a lot of Americans there supporting all the because I think an American qualified for every freestyle division and a couple of the Greco divisions. So like we went and we packed that place. It seems so. I'm pretty sure that was the case because, well, anyway, so they lucked out. I think this time because it has been a problem in the past for freestyle wrestling, whether or not it should be included, and that's just the unfortunate nature of, say, like nowadays, it's like these sports have to show that they're spectator friendly, and so that probably just so they can get sponsorships from and all the different TV networks and all that. It's all about money, right? So it's an unfortunate thing, but that's something that these corporations care about. And with that being said, another thing that's unfortunate is that, like, I saw a lot of people comment. So what I did was, like, I would watch. I watched like every day, almost every single match of the freestyle, and I would post like the move of the day, right? Something that really was great that happened every day. But even on YouTube, I would upload the video, and then nowadays YouTube, they do checks on every video. So if you upload something, you can wait a few minutes before you publish it, and while you wait, then yeah, after a few minutes, you'll get a notification from YouTube, and it'll say that it ran all its checks and your video is fine to publish. There should be no problem. So that means there should be no problem with copyright and all that. And so I got those notifications from YouTube. So I published the videos and also published them on, Instagram and whatnot. And so several days later, like, the whoever filmed, I think, from the United States, it was like NBC, our national broadcasting company. They're claiming all these rights, and then I started seeing other people who made videos about other Olympic sports saying, like, I want to. They were talking about the sport, and then they're saying, I want to try to post like video of the sport, but my videos keep getting taken down by NBC or whoever, and like it's just unfortunate because, like, I think the Olympics are something kind of like the World Cup in soccer, where it's something for everyone, for the whole world, and then it's like it should be free for everyone to watch, right? So we can all talk about the exciting parts or stuff that we can learn about, but unfortunately these corporations are making it where it's like, oh, if you post anything, even it's like, even if it's to show something that people can learn from or enjoy. It's like, nope, it's ours. We own it. So it's that. So ultimately, the videos got taken down from YouTube, but they're still on our Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. So, um, because that was another thing. So like the suplex ones, like you get people who are kind of rude about it, but they were like, they were in a nice way. They were saying like, oh, where can I watch the full match? It's like, well, you got to pay NBC or whatever to get access to something that should just be free for everyone. So it's sad. It's so yeah. Of course, the networks, they have to make money somehow or whatever. But um, I don't know. They should still make it free because they're still making tons of money on it. I hear that say like Snoop Dogg, who was all over the place, had all these deals, and so he was making tons of money, and um, so it's like they can cut people some slack because this is something that should be shared. It's supposed to be like a thing about unity for every human on Earth and all that, like sports and all that. But making it hard for people to even watch is is sad, right? So I think those are my kind of like the main criticisms. I mean, I'm always gonna love catch wrestling overall because again, I think it's more of a truer like example of wrestling. Like, so you got strategy because no time limit. Um, Even in we do have time limits in our matches. Usually about 20 minutes. Sometimes we've done even a little bit shorter because a lot of times they don't go like 10 minutes. So, you know, just because we have a 20-minute time limit doesn't mean that it'll go that far, but you can still use a lot of these strategies, just knowing that, like you have a longer time limit. So we have, so that can show a lot of different like aspects, strategies of wrestling. Also, no points. So you can say if you get taken down, you don't have to feel bad, or like if someone pushes you out, there's no push out because there is no push out rule, right? You don't get points for that. So people have to actually try to wrestle, try to beat you with using wrestling instead of using their pushing ability, right? Um, and so ultimately, it's like, yeah, it's like catch wrestling is like still on top, even though people are still going to obey whatever rules they have to get to the Olympics. So we'll see about the future of wrestling in the Olympics. Oh yeah, I didn't cover Greco at all because it's like, again, I love catch wrestling. I don't really like the rules of Greco. You can't grab the legs. Um, so it's like in that way, like even judo might be more interesting to watch than Greco. And also Greco doesn't have a women's division, so it doesn't kind of adhere to even its own, or it doesn't adhere to the Olympic rules where it's like you have to have women doing it as well. So it's like it doesn't even qualify as an Olympic sport. So I won't even cover it. It should just I think it should just be removed from the Olympics and stuff. So freestyle is more interesting overall because you can counter people by grabbing their legs, and in Greco you have to resist them from picking you up just by trying to use your body weight and stuff, which it's not as interesting to me personally. So I don't really see so much of the value. Like, say, like for you, if you're learning catch wrestling, you'd probably learn more from freestyle than Greco. So maybe you can probably even learn more from judo than Greco as well. Even though judo doesn't have the leg grab either, I think they have some trips and stuff. So yeah, in judo you can learn more. More things that might help you in your like in your wrestling journey or your grappling journey. And I'm not even the biggest fan of judo. I don't, so um, so with that being said, it's like, yeah, I'm not even going to talk about Greco. Um, so there. But if anybody has any questions, just let me know. Feel free to ask anything. But yeah, one thing that I think we kind of talked about it a little while ago, where it's like the leg lace in freestyle, you can totally set up a lot of leg locks, a lot of passing, like passing guard if you're doing like nogi jiu-jitsu competitions and all that. So you can set up your leg locks, like toe holds. Um, yeah, it's quite amazing that, or like something that you can totally use from freestyle directly in your grappling. So it's pretty fun, and like people they'll give it to you, especially like seated guard and stuff. So with that being said, actually I did a whole video series on it on our YouTube channel and on our website, catchwrestlingalliance.com. It's the Pressure Pass Volume 2. That is all about learning how to get to the leg lace position, especially in a no-gi scenario, and how to do submission holds, how to pass guard, how to block the, or like if they're trying to block you by setting up frames, how to get past their frames. So that's actually a really good one. I think it's something that's really practical. I use this strategy all the time when I roll a lot, especially if someone does seated guard, or which a lot of them do. So getting past their guard is something that is a great strategy. I guess since I roll at a lot at 10th Planet headquarters, there's a thing that Eddie Bravo says, or they call it like passing from scratch. So it's like, say if you didn't get a takedown, because like quite often you can, if you get a really great takedown, then you end up, when you land, you've already passed their legs, right? So you've already passed their guard. But in certain scenarios, like say if you start and then they just sit down, right, seated guard, then like you have to pass from scratch. So I think the leg lace is one really good way to uh, like help you to pass from scratch, basically. So that was kind of funny, or a funny way to put it, right? So passing their guard without like having set up anything at the beginning, especially if they're giving you seated guard. Yeah, leg lace is a good way to pass from scratch. And so yeah, we got that whole video series up on our website, catchwrestlingalliance.com. You can totally see the link to our website in the show notes and stuff. If you have any questions about that, though, too, because I don't think I really put videos up about it. Maybe I'll try to make one this week a little bit about it. But yeah, definitely if you want more in-depth stuff, because we go over so many different aspects that you'll find or that you'll encounter when you're rolling someone and you're trying to, you find yourself in a situation where you have to pass from scratch, then the leg lace can help you out a lot. So you just have to know how to get into it from a no-gi situation, a no-gi seated guard scenario. They're not exactly just giving it to you. You can't just like go into it, but you have to set it up still. But you can do it. I believe in you. I believe in you. Like we said, like all these things take practice. So it's like something that someone might consider a low percentage move. If you practice it, if you understand, if you start learning all the ins and outs of it, then yeah, you can start applying it, and you'll take a low percentage move and it will become a high percentage move for you, right? So say like taking it back to, was it Vinesh Fogat, that snap down, just spamming it and finding just amazing success. It's unfortunate that we didn't see the final between her and the American, but it was still something that you can learn from. So yeah, go ahead and check out. Unfortunately, not on our YouTube channel because all the Olympics footage was taken down because of what, NBC or whatever. But You can find it on all of our other social media stuff because you have the Vinesh. You have basically all the highlights. We have some. Oh yeah, Ray Higuchi, so good. That match with Spencer Lee. Uh, yeah, it was sad because I'd been following Higuchi for a while, and I knew he was great. So it was kind of sad, coming from the United States and having the United States wrestler lose in the gold medal match. But I think Spencer Lee will be back in 4 years. Hopefully, I'm hoping because for his first time going to the Olympics, getting to the gold medal match was great. So there's no shame in that. So hopefully he can qualify again, and I'm sure the next time he can get the gold medal because he's still, uh, he's he still has many years in wrestling, or many years left in his life that he can devote to wrestling. So he'll just get even better over time. All right, so I've probably spoken enough. Hopefully, this was like enough points to kind of. Hopefully, I got points, but enough different things to think about. Where it's like, again, there's different wrestling styles out there, and we think catch wrestling is the number one. We enjoy it the most, and there's still some things to learn from freestyle, but it isn't like the absolute pinnacle. So just know that a lot of these things that you can do in freestyle won't necessarily apply, or they won't necessarily be the winningest techniques in catch wrestling or even in no-gi jiu-jitsu. You can totally get caught in a lot of submissions and pins and stuff in these other styles, right? So if you try to only approach it from a freestyle, you just try to do freestyle in your oh yeah. So speaking of that, one more point is that, so okay, in freestyle, the other thing that I think would hinder you as a wrestler is the whole stopping thing. So what happens is, so say like if you do the stalemate rule. So if you go for a takedown, the other person stuffs it, and then you're both like just there for and it can be basically it's up to the ref to call the stalemate. So a lot of times people will the two wrestlers will know that, oh, I think I'm stuck. So we've been here for a few seconds. So they kind of they stop fighting, right? And then they wait for the referee to blow the whistle. So they stand back up. I think this is a major problem. So good thing that I remembered the last time I was about to totally end this. This is a major problem for even freestyle wrestlers. So why did a lot of the Japanese wrestlers win? In my opinion, I think it was because they tried to continue wrestling until they were stood up by the ref, right? So there were several instances. I probably should have tried to I guess maybe I shouldn't have, because I was gonna say, like, if I got video of these instances, then and I played them for you, then maybe this video would get taken down. But so there are several instances where you would see two wrestlers in freestyle. They were they weren't necessarily stuck completely, but you would see kind of like the energy of both of them kind of just like stop, because it seemed like both of them were like kind of realizing, oh, we're probably going to get stood up any second now, so I'm not going to resist too much. And there were several times where I think one referee in particular, this one man, he would tell them, like, keep wrestling, I'm not going to stand you up. So one referee in particular that was letting the action go, and so then the wrestlers who were wrestling until they were forced to stop, I think those ones were more successful. So you can see often in freestyle where someone will, even in practice, they'll go up into a certain point, and then they'll be like, oh, the ref is gonna call stalemate, so I'm gonna stop here. So you don't, if you're in a freestyle like I'm sure like if you're training in freestyle, maybe your school is going to be used to stuff like that. But I would say ultimately, like for you, just in general, being well rounded, don't stop. Don't stop until they force you to stop, right? Until they call the stalemate and stand you back up, because um, these are the ways that people win, where it's like they just continue to fight. They might get that reversal, right? Unless you're definitely like really really stuck, then of course then you have to rely on getting saved by the ref or whatever. But um, again, this is one of the things that is kind of unique to freestyle, but you're not going to see this in like no gi, or you're not going to see this in catch wrestling. You'd have to fight your way out, right? Um, so I would say for someone who's doing freestyle, you'd want to incorporate the more of the catch wrestling no gi perspective, where you want to keep fighting, right? Because you can turn a bad situation into a great one for yourself if you keep fighting, instead of just, oh, I'm kind of stuck, so I'm gonna let the ref stand us up. It might you might end up with a better result if you just keep fighting. All right, with that being said, I think there's probably I've spoken for over 40 minutes, so I'm sure you're tired of hearing me. So with that being said, if you like what we do, feel free to support us on our YouTube channel. If you want to become an online student at our CWA Academy, go to our website, catchwrestlingalliance.com. If you want our one-off stuff, like I mentioned, Pressure Pass Volume 2, this actually would really help you with incorporating like wrestling into your no-gi, help you to pass from scratch, like we were talking about. That's Pressure Pass Volume 2 on our website. Um, our buddy John on the East Coast, American Hook Wrestling. You can always train with us in Los Angeles, Fight Science MMA. If you have something to learn, you can use our link below, or you have something to teach, you can use our link below for Kajabi for 1 month. So thank you very much. We're here to help you to elevate your grappling. So together we keep real wrestling alive. See you next time.